Are you ready for it?
Hey guys, welcome back to this episode of my YouTube 101 series where I teach you all of the tips, tricks, experience, and advice that I have learned being a consistent YouTuber for the last 3 years. I hope that you are enjoying these videos so far. I am so excited to be sharing these with you, and I really hope that you continue watching because we are just getting started. And every single video, I get to go a little bit deeper into the details as to how I created this channel and how to help you create your own, and hopefully this helps. So today's video is all about editing. Personally, I use iMovie to edit my videos, so unfortunately this video is directed only to iMovie users. So if you're used to using Adobe Final Cut or any other type of editing feature to help edit videos, I'm sorry, I wish I could help you, but this one is just for iMovie because that's what my laptop came with. Before we get started, I just want to mention that all the tips that I've learned are either tips that I taught myself or other videos that I've looked up on YouTube, because if I don't cover something that you know you can do in iMovie, I guarantee you that there is a video out there on YouTube that you could look up that can help you. A lot of these tips I actually learned from watching videos of people using iMovie, because although I have been using iMovie since middle school, there were a lot of things that I didn't know how to do, especially with iMovie continuing to upgrade as I got older, but I feel like I have really mastered iMovie. Of course, everyone wants to get to Final Cut. I know there's more that you can do with Final Cut, but there are a lot of hacks and tips and tricks that you can use on iMovie to make it look like you're using something a lot fancier, if that's what you're going for. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up because it does help. Comment down below and subscribe to this channel because we really are like one big family over here with lots of love to go around, and it's never too late to join. All you have to do is hit subscribe. Also, don't forget to turn on the bell because this notifies you every time I upload a new video, and I always shout out the first comment on my social media. So be sure to be following me so you don't miss those shout outs. With all of that being said, let's get right on into my tips and tricks for iMovie editing skills. Alright, now that my screen is being recorded, let's open up our iMovie. At the moment, I am currently editing my second episode in this YouTube series right now about my 10 tips and tricks for beginning YouTubers, so we're going to use this project as an example. Starting out super simple, let's go through the fonts to show all the little tricks that you can use under the titles and font options. I actually get a lot of questions about my font choices and whether or not they're included in iMovie, and yes they are. So what I'm going to show you is kind of how I like to choose my fonts and what I do. Let's say you just want a nice title for tip number 1. First, I'm going to get rid of the outline. I don't like that look. I'm also going to unbold it because I also do not like that look. I'm going to increase the font size to about 200. And although the font sizes here are listed, you can also change them specifically if you want it to be slightly smaller or larger. Let's change this to 200 if you're looking for that. And then here are the typical fonts that iMovie gives you. They have a lot of options, and I usually like to stick to one of these, either the DIN bold or the condensed. I like the condensed look. Sometimes it's a little too close together, so I will put a space in between every single word, and if the space is a little bit too big but I still need a better space, you can change the size of that space to, I like going to 58 or 36 if you want to get very technical with that. Also, if you don't like any of these fonts, just click show fonts and it's going to show every single font that your laptop has downloaded. And then you can also go to font websites if you just Google fonts and download other fonts that you would prefer. I think most Apples have like at least 300 fonts to choose from. Now, besides fonts and different titles, underneath the titles tab, you can do a lot more with these title features. So for example, this pull focus one is one of my favorites. I actually just used it in my first video of this episode when I was blurring out faces of people from high school, just in case they didn't want hundreds of people on the internet seeing what they looked like in high school. So the way this works is you just drag the title on top of the clip that you want to use it, and instead of typing something in, just hit delete, get rid of the title. So you can see here that the clip still goes out of focus. This is really nice for montages, or if you want to give a more dramatic or artsy feel to an editing project, you can just pull it out of focus as we do right here. I love that. Another feature that I like to use for montages or from transitioning into video is the lens flare. Again, just delete the title and you have this really nice subtle lens flare. I love it. You might notice that I use that a lot in my montages or transition, or if I'm actually doing a title like how to YouTube. I like that subtle look of it. I think it looks really nice. Another trick that I like to use under the title features is this date and timestamp. So a lot of vloggers do this. I think it's really nice for vlogging footage, where if you drag this title, it'll show the time and date that you took this footage at. You can't change these because it's set into the time that your camera or your iPhone was at when you hit record. So as you can see, I was filming this video at 12:35 a.m. on January 24th. I'm kind of a night owl, but this is nice to have at the beginning and end of vlogs. I typically like to do this as well. But what I like to do, because I don't like the look of this gray gradient all the time, is that I'll use this for reference and then I'll create my own by dragging a lower text in the corner, getting rid of the outline and the boldness, and just writing in, you know, January 24th, 2018, so that I know it's accurate. I also want it on the left side. So this is a vlog. I now have the date over here and I know it's accurate because this title sequence told me. Alright, so those are some examples as to how to use the title features on iMovie. I think they're super helpful. Again, you can just go through and there are so many more that I didn't talk about, but hopefully these are grounding you enough to see everything that you can do with the titles and fonts that iMovie gives you. Now moving on to overlays. This is another thing that I get a ton of questions on, and that is how to create an overlay on iMovie. So let's say I want to use the saved footage on my iMovie that I have. So as an example, I'm just going to drag this footage that I have from summer when Tesla was saying goodbye to me in California and just put it directly on top of a clip that I want it to be at. If you want a cutaway overlay, it's super simple because you just drag the footage right on top, and now what happens is it just cuts directly to that clip with the audio of the normal video in the background, so that doesn't change. If you want a more gradual fade into this clip, you can move these little blue buttons inward and create a soft, subtle fade into the clip, which I sometimes like for montages. Let's say that you want to change the opacity so that you can see both screens at the same time. There you go. This can be super helpful. Or let's say that you want them to be side by side, which is another example. And you can change the left or right. You can even have a slide motion if you want it to be on the side a little bit more, and that's what this looks like if it just kind of slides in as an example and slides back out. That's super fun if you are referencing something or have two people in the same video, or even doing like a Miranda Sings Colleen Ballinger type of video. That's also super helpful. What I tend to do a lot if I'm talking about a video is I'll do picture inside of a picture. So when you do this, the overlay video becomes this tiny little box that you can increase in size or make smaller. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'll put it in the bottom left corner, and then I'll add a frame or a border. I personally love doing borders. Let's choose a nice yellow color for this one so you can see how it stands out. And actually, where am I going to put it? We'll put it down here just so you can see my face too. So now if you're talking about a video or a clip or a picture even, like I did in that first video of the series, there it is playing in a small clip on the scene. This technique is also very helpful for any videos that you create reacting to other videos. So let's get rid of that for a moment because we're about to talk about green screens and downloads. So Gabrielle Marie creates a ton of green screen overlays that you can download from YouTube. All you have to do is Google like YouTube video to MP4 and then copy and paste any of her videos that you want to download. So personally, I downloaded the subscribe button. So you'll find a video on YouTube that looks something like this for transitions or overlays that you want, and then what you do is you download it. Once you have it on your laptop, you can drag it. I'm going to bring it above like an overlay for this video, and then under adjust and cutaway, I'm going to click the green and blue screen option so that the green screen goes away and the subscribe button stays. Because this transition that someone created moves pretty quickly for a subscribe button, and I personally just don't like the look of it, I'm going to add a little fade, and then I'm going to click this turtle up here and bring the speed down to 50% so it stays on the screen a little longer and so more people have a chance to see it, and click subscribe. Gabrielle Marie is just one of thousands of people on YouTube that create transitions like this free for people to use, so I would just YouTube search your favorites, download them, and put them into your iMovie. Of course, if you're doing this, be sure to give that person credit. As always, you don't want to be stealing footage from other people and using it in your video. That's just not right. Now let's say that you want to tell your followers to leave a thumbs up in your video like I do right here with my thumbs up. Now I have it saved to my desktop, but all you have to do is Google whatever sticker you want. I typically Google emojis and then the word transparent because you want it to be transparent so there's no background on it when you drag it. If the image looks like this, all you want to do is click picture inside of a picture, and if it's cropped, go into this little cropped tab and click fit so that the entire image fits. I don't like the fading, so I'm going to take that away. And then under cutaway, let's make this thumbs up just a little bit bigger. So now we have an overlay of a thumbs up. You can add sound effects if you'd like, but I'm going to show you how to change the keyframe of this thumbs up and have it move around the screen. So I used to think this was only a technique on Final Cut Pro, and then I actually watched someone in their vlog do it on iMovie, and it taught me how to move it as well. If you saw my first day of senior year vlog, I totally do this, where I have the thumbs up moving across the screen, and all you want to do is focus on these little arrows and this little cropped frame right here. But here you can see it says add a new keyframe at the playhead, go to the next keyframe, or go to the previous keyframe. Once you place the sticker where you want it to start, click the middle button and it should turn orange. Click the next keyframe arrow and then just drag it exactly where you want it to be by the end of the transition. I want to move it down to that corner, and I'll click next keyframe and blue as well. So now when I hit play, it looks like this. The last thing that I want to touch on is how I change the color of my footage. If you watch my Mornings with Makayla episodes, you know that I like to add a colorful background, and today I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you go to the bottom content library corner of iMovie, you'll see all these options. Click on maps and backgrounds, and it should take you to this place full of different backgrounds basically for videos. We have all these different colors, but don't worry, you can make your own colors too. So let's start with a red, and I'm not going to put it over my footage because you're actually going to want to put your footage on top of it. Just like that. And right now you can't really see the red background because iMovie thinks that you want to cut away to this frame. So just choose picture in a picture and it becomes smaller. You can increase it to however big you want it to be. I personally like having a very subtle thin frame of color if I am going to do a colorful background. About that large, and I just want to move it so it's in the middle. There you have it. Now I have a nice red background for my video. Now the opposite trick for this, if you want to put the color over your frame, what you can also do is move the color backdrop on top as an overlay and then change the opacity to give a nice filter. You can also create your own colored filter if you adjust the highlights, shadows, contrast, saturation, and all of that with the red overlay. I don't use this technique a lot in my videos because I don't think my videos need it, but if you're going for an artsy look or just trying to spice up some footage that you got for a video, you can change the color around a little bit and kind of see if you like it. I do this sometimes with a blue background on top just to create a temperature kind of difference. But here you can see the difference in footage with no overlay of color and then a nice color overlay to create that filtered look if you're going for it. And just for reference, I'm going to quickly show you how I edit the color when I import footage. So it looks pretty natural, but if I take away all these edits, this is what the raw footage looks like when I import it to my laptop. You can see that I've definitely brightened it, but typically when I have raw footage like this, I highlight it and I want to increase the brightness just a little bit because I'm going to do it later with the highlights. I'm going to increase contrast a little bit that I can see it, so that I can see it in my hair and darker features. Here's the highlight that I'm creating so the background becomes a little bit brighter, as well as my teeth. And then I just want to darken the shadows a little bit as well. Now typically if I have a colorful background, such as my normal one, I'll increase the saturation as well. Because this was taken on a backdrop, there's really no need because it just makes me look kind of orange. Sometimes I'll bring down the saturation if it's too much, but I typically bring down the temperature to even out the colors. And you can kind of see that the editing is very similar between the one I just showed you and the one that I have saved for this video. Well, now that my computer is overheating, I think I'm going to end the video. I hope that this helped. I feel like there weren't that many tips, but again, I'm under the assumption that people watching know how to use iMovie and its daily functions pretty well, and these are just some of the hidden tips or tricks that you may not have always known were inside of the application. If you have any other tips or tricks that I personally do not know, feel free to try to comment them down below. I know it's harder to explain than show, but if you can, I would love to learn. If you have anything to add, I just hope that you learned something. I would hate for someone that uses iMovie to watch this and then realize that they already knew all these tricks, but I don't know, I'm trying. I also am not that big on editing my videos. I don't do much because most of them are just sit down videos. I just hope that this helped a little bit. Even if you just learned one thing, that's really all I could ask for. Again, I'm not the exception, so if there's anything that you know that I don't, please comment down below, and I hope that you are looking forward to the next video, as am I. I'm about to film it right now, so stay tuned. But until then, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye, guys. Bye.